Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is your boy, Core Boy, back at it again today with a new video. And we do have quite a bit to talk about today. Some things involving Black Ops 6 that I do want to sit in here and get in depth about. I actually just tried to record this video a bit ago and went on a little bit of a tangent on something that had nothing to do with this topic, so I'm re-recording it. So y'all can make fun of me down below if you would like to, of course. You can't for about anything. But Black Ops 6 kind of has an issue right now that, I'm not gonna lie, it's a bit fucking game breaking in a lot of ways, and it's pretty bad. And I just want to sit here and talk about it. Now, of course, I will preface this by coming from somebody who is not mainly a COD player anymore. I haven't been a COD player like really like heftily in the last like 3 to 4 years until this game came out. For all of you who do know me from my normal content, I am normally a Halo creator, and I do like to always leave that as a preface because that's how I come into these things and talk about them a little bit. So, let's start from the main thing right now that I am having a major issue with in this game. And then we're going to talk about some other things as well that have just kind of become a bit of a nuisance in this game. Things that I think should be talked about when it comes to optimization and things of that nature. It's just, to me, a lot of stuff that needs to be talked about. But the main right here, so if y'all can't tell, I'm looking at one of my classes here. We're currently working on the SMGs. I didn't have a video out yesterday to talk about it, but I will just update you all. We got all of the ARs diamond now. So those are all completed. We got the diamond kill challenges as well. So those are all currently completed. They are done for now. We don't have to use them. The Goblin MK2 is possibly one of the worst weapons I've ever used in COD history. It was just really bad and not fun. So we are over here onto the SMGs. Currently we have the C9 done. We almost have the KSV done. I was working on it, but I actually went ahead and unlocked the Compact 92. It's decent. And at some point, I do want to do some like deep dive into like weapon stats as well, because there are some things to talk about, especially with like a lot of the ARs, the SMGs, and I'm going to talk about some things a little bit later on in this video. But the main thing that I want to harp on today are these right here, your combat specialties. So overall, when Black Ops 6 first came out, this is something I've really, really liked. I thought it was really cool. So if you all remember back on like MW3, and I don't remember really which other CODs, I know it was in MW 2019, I think, probably MW2 and 3 as well. But there was a third option you could pick for your score streaks or your kill streaks. So you had assault, support, and then specialist. And this kind of reminds me of that, done in a little bit different of a way. But the way specialist worked is, of course, you made your normal class with your 3 perks that you choose. And then after a certain amount of kills, so 3, 5, and I think 8, or 12, it was either one of those, you would earn a perk for each of those. So you could really maximize your advantage on a map with just that, running specialist. And it was huge back in the day. It was something that a lot of people ran. I personally loved it a lot. But this one was really interesting to me. So, of course, if you all have looked at the perk system in Black Ops 6, there are 3 categories. Red, blue, green. Same over here. Red, blue, green. And then right here, red, blue, green. Of course, some have more perks in those colors in the in certain sections. So, of course, perk 1, you have 3 reds. Perk 2, you got 3 blues. Perk 3, you got 3 greens. So, the way this works, though, is if you pick 3 of the same colors, you get a specialty. And there's a Enforcer, which, of course, is kind of more of an assault-based thing, where if you're really going in, getting a lot of kills, and trying to get out of fights without dying a lot, Enforcer's probably the way you want to go. Next is Recon, the one we're going to be talking about today, because it's a major issue in this game. And then last is Strategist, which is mostly just yours used to like utilize kill streaks, see enemy equipments, and get your field upgrade faster. It's kind of useful. It just all depends on how you play. This is for more like a support player on a team compared to somebody who's like trying to go in and get kills. But if you're playing a lot of Black Ops 6 recently, you'll notice that 2 of these are very rarely being utilized compared to 1. And the one that I want to be talking about today is Recon, because this is a bit of a problem in this game. It's pretty bad, and has actually at the moment kind of rendered hardcore for me damn near completely unplayable. It's very, very irritating. If y'all don't know how hardcore works in COD, it's no HUD, no mini-map, weapons do, you're basically getting one-shot kills on everybody. It lowers the health a lot. It's making it more realistic, per se. And the way Recon works is enemies can be seen through walls for a short period of time after spawn. It's usually about 5 to 6 seconds, I think. Maybe a little bit less than that, to be honest. So basically what happens is when you die and you spawn in, you get a highlight across the map where you see everyone's outlines. You can see everybody on the map. You know exactly where they are, which I don't hate. I think that's pretty decent. It's a pretty cool specialist to have, because it doesn't really allow that to be taken advantage of because people are consistently moving if they're a decent team or if they're playing well. But the next one, though. A HUD edge indicator flashes when an enemy is outside your view. You remember High Alert? It was a broken ass perk. It was bad. Basically, the way this perk worked back whenever it was a perk was if someone was outside of your view, you would get a marker on the edge of your screen. So you'd get like a little yellow spot at the top, the left, the right, or the bottom to tell you where that enemy is that is looking towards you. Or if they are just in your general vicinity, and they were usually pretty close. And of course, you leave no skulls when killing enemies. So basically, the way it works is when you kill somebody, they don't get an indicator on their screen showing that you killed them, which isn't that bad. There's other perks that have done this in COD prior. It doesn't really bother me. But the HUD edge indicators is terrible. Like when I first read this, I was like, oh, cool. This will be like, hopefully this will get people like moving around the map and such more. Maybe they'll want to take fights more because they'll kind of have a more of a heads up on where people could be, where they might be coming from. So they kind of have more map knowledge overall. They get that buffer. That's not what people are using this for. Like, literally, if you go try to play hardcore most of the time now and you get a decently sized map that isn't like the face-off maps, people are just going to be sitting in one spot and just rotating when they see that little flash pop up. And it's usually like at a vantage point, like on a head glitch or a staircase where you can't like really shoot up above it, but they can actually see you coming up the stairs, but you can't shoot up it, so they kind of have that vantage point. And it is such an annoying thing. And also, even then, the through wall thing, because of how some of the spawns work in this game, it can be very overly utilized at points. Especially if you're someone who, like I said, plays like me. I play very rush. I'm very aggressive as a player. I am in any game that I play. If you've watched my Halo videos, you know this. If you've watched my COD videos, you know this. I'm an aggressive player. I like to consistently be in fights. To me, that's just what makes an FPS, especially an arcade FPS. And this is honestly kind of hurting the game so much for me. It has made so much stuff unfun to a point where I'm like, damn, this just kind of sucks. If you go try to play like hardcore face-off right now, you'll see people running this, they'll put a thermal on and then smoke grenades on, and as soon as they spawn in, they'll just chuck a smoke into mid, know where your highlight is, and then throw in a thermal, and you'll just get mowed down out of nothingness. It is genuinely such an unfun thing. This isn't even a skill gap issue. This is actually just blatantly broken. Like, it kind of incentivizes camping half the time, which isn't fun. That's one of my least favorite things that certain CODs have done over the last couple of years. I'm looking at you, MW 2019. I'm looking at you. Yep, you know what you did. I don't respect you. But it's just bad. This needs some very big tweaks to it. I know a lot of people have been talking about it. It's a pretty big topic of conversation. It's just bad. It's very unfortunate. And the next thing I did want to talk about, besides these whole specialty things, we've seen here recently that, specifically, I think it was 2 weapons have recently got GA'd, which were the Model L and the XM4. Listen, the XM4, I understand. This thing is actually insane. It's, funny enough, my assault rifles that I have the least kills with, I think, mostly because it is quite literally the easiest weapon in this game to use. It has basically no recoil, very good damage for an AR, and very, like, well-balanced fire rate. Like, if you're looking for a laser, just equip this thing. You can run any attachment you want. This is mine that I was using for camos. It worked great. This is just for, like, me going for headshots and shit. I haven't done, like, a proper build on it or anything yet, and I was... That's why I have so little kills with it compared to everything else for the most part. I think the only one that I have less kills with is the AS Val, because it's really good. But I wouldn't say the Val is necessarily overpowered. The Val is just generally a pretty good weapon in any game it's been in. It has its drawbacks. This gun doesn't have a drawback to it. It's bad. And then, of course, the Model L, I think, is a little bit weird to have GA'd. It's a slow-firing, high-damage AR. It's in a way reminds me of the Man-O-War or the STG-44. If you know those weapons from other CODs, you kind of know what to expect with this thing. It's very good. It's very resourceful. I like this thing. I'm a big fan of it. Actually, to a point so much where I have probably the most kills with it because I just did not want to stop using it because it was so fun to just run around with this thing. And you were getting those, like, 3 taps, and it made sense. It's, like I said, it's a heavy weapon in a way. You're running around considerably pretty slowly with it because it's pretty heavy, You have, a very slow fire, so people can just mow you down, but you're getting that damage output that kind of counterbalances it. It's very good. Um, I also seen some stuff with the AMES kind of got reworked as well. I don't think there are a lot of people to run the reinforced barrel. This thing can be a slay machine too. It's very fun. But the main thing I want to talk about was I don't care about these GAs, and I want to talk about this at a deeper level because it's a conversation I want to have with both the Halo people that watch, because I know a lot of you do, no matter what I make, and I appreciate you for that. And I also want to talk about the COD community as well, and just kind of gaming in general in a lot of ways, because it is something that I think does need to consistently be talked about because it is a concerning thing for me. Whenever we look at people who are semi-pros, pro players, or people who are like wanting to play professionally and want to follow that route, when we see these GAs happen, I have noticed a weird thing of social players getting upset because social players take it very, very personally. And hey man, if you're not trying to go pro or anything, no one cares if you're using these. That's just a thing for when like pro play is going on. It's like, hey, don't use these. Like, these are clearly overpowered and to a point where it's not competitive friendly. Let's not use these. It has nothing to do with social play. If you're hopping into a regular search and destroy game, no one's gonna get mad at you because you're running these weapons. It's just a thing for pro players with a set of guidelines to follow to say, hey, just don't use these. So, social players, stop taking it at heart. It's not at heart. Like, they aren't coming after you. In fact, I think most pro players would agree with me in any scene, Halo, Call of Duty, whatever it may be. There should be two different weapon sets. One for pro play, one for social. If you remember back in the old Halo 3 days and stuff like that, we did have that. And we kind of do with Halo Infinite as well. If you've ever played Ranked and then went and played Social and used the BR, there's a significant difference in those two BRs and how they perform. That's just kind of one of my big examples as a mainly Halo creator. So I do think that would help a lot. Of course, it's going to be extra money from the dev team because they have to have another team working on these weapons for competitive play. But I think most of us would agree that that would probably, subsidize this issue. But if we can't do that, then there's other things that have to come into effect of saying, hey, don't use these. They're too broken. Let's just use different weapons, which is totally fine. That's not damaging social play at all. Social players, they can use whatever the hell they want. So remember that. Stop getting mad at people for no reason just because you think you can't use something when you clearly can. Like, it's okay if you are. It is just for the top 1% of players, and that is what they are choosing to follow. So stop arguing about it. It's a little weird, and it's just not needed. Yes, there's ways for us to get around it, but with the current state of the gaming world, that just may not be able to happen, so we have to find other ways around it. Also, because we are going to hop in here for a bit and maybe play some games and stuff, because I've kind of finished off with what I needed to talk about. Nuketown 24/7 is out currently with also double weapon XP, double XP, and for zombies players, double gobblegums. If you like that kind of stuff, it's grind time, baby. Of course, if you can see here, I actually recently got into Prestige 2. I didn't have a lot of time to play yesterday. I had a show to go to yesterday, so I didn't have a lot of time to play. That's why I didn't have a video out yesterday as well. I've been very busy here recently, so we've had a lot to do. But other than that, though, guys, I just wanted to talk about those couple of things. I know there's no gameplay in here, but it's things that I do need to talk about as a player of the game. Things that I do need to focus on if I'm going to continue making COD content, and who knows, because I'm probably going to for the rest of the year make COD videos here and there as well as my Halo content. That's always going to be my main focus, but I like both games and I want to talk about them more in depth because I care. But other than that, though, guys, I will see you later. It's been your boy Core Boy, and yeah, later, dudes.